So today, guys, you know that this is our day where we do keys to the game. This go round, it's the Falcons versus Bears, and it's the cousin Jason edition of keys
Yes.
to the game. I am so
My
excited.
solo red cup at.
Don't get it, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
So,
I'm here.
so super thrilled because you guys don't know, but Jason Goff is just really, really super close to Jarvis and I because when we started early in our careers, he was the one person who would always allow us to crack a mic. So we'll forever be grateful for that. And he just continues to do major things, got his own podcast, the Full Go podcast. And if you guys have never listened, you need to check it out because Full Go doesn't really tell the whole story of just how far Goff goes.
Yeah, we try to have a good
time. Yes. Our guy is in the shy right now. So, of course, we want to talk a little Bears. And I know you got lots to say. So, I want to get right into it. And I'm going to hit you right out of the gate, Jason, with the real. Justin Fields. He's putting up insane numbers. We know on the ground. But from your opinion, seeing that bird's eye view, how is he progressing as a passer?
Well, he still has some steps to take in his evolution. But the thing that we have been clamoring for, and they finally gotten to it over the last 4 or 5 weeks, was changing the launch angle, right? Not just having him sit in the pocket. And now you're seeing he's extending plays, and getting a taste of success with his legs is important because there was a lot of 3-and-outs early on in the season, a lot of struggling. And I think something flipped in that Washington Commanders game where all of a sudden Justin was like, hey, if you guys want me to be myself and actually be the pocket passer that you want me to be, I also have to be able to get out on some of these design runs, stay ahead of the chains. And also, he doesn't have a lot of man beaters out there on the perimeter. So, Darnell Mooney is one guy, but for 5, 6, 7 weeks, he was throwing to special teamers. They went out and got Chase Claypool. He's really not a man beater. He's a go up and get it guy. So there's some pieces that don't match around him, but as this running has started, you've also started to see defenses try to quarterback contain, do mush rushes and all these other things. So it's allowing him to become a better passer by processing things. But he's still got to learn how to take the cheese and not go for every single big play possible. That's still getting kind of bridled out of him. But in the long run, we've seen drastic steps of incremental increases in his play. And I think now you're getting the chance against this Dean Pease defense. I think they're going to sit back and try to mix it up on him. So I think this is now the next step in the evolution where it's like the evaluation process started because he had some offensive success running the ball. Now you're going to see the counterpunch from these NFL defenses and force him to stay in the pocket a little bit more.
Jay, you talk about how how important it is to have those man beaters on the outside. Yeah. With that being said, do you feel like Ryan Poles did his job coming to this season? Now I've heard you had plenty of conversations on the Full Go podcast, so that's why I'm asking you this because I love to hear like what Ryan Poles should have done, or maybe what he should have done, shouldn't have done coming into the season.
Yeah, well, I didn't think. I mean, you put a 5th-round left tackle out there. You go out there and you let go of James Daniels and some other guys that were a part of that offensive line, and then the wide receiver issues. He started out this year with Byron Pringle and N'Keal Harry, Amir Smith-Marset. A lot of guys, Dante Pettis and Equinemius St. Brown have been guys who have had special teams roles on other teams. Now all of a sudden you want your quarterback to come to some kind of maturation point with Darnell Mooney and a bunch of dudes. So at the beginning, I was very critical. I mean, you got a guy like Drake London in Atlanta. You got Sky Moore in Kansas City. It's not about going out and getting this big name wide receiver off the bat if you're Ryan Poles, because he had a lot of dead cap space and a lot of things to work out. But you had the draft, and in the draft of the evaluation period for your quarterback is the next couple of years. In that draft, you go out and get a nickel corner and a safety in your first 2 picks. So yeah, I was very critical, and I do think that this team. I think half that building came around on Justin Fields in this last 5 weeks or so, because there are a lot of questions on, this is, you guys know Ryan Pace now because he's a part of the Atlanta staff. This is one of the few decisions that Ryan Pace made, right? That has worked out, but it's not Ryan Poles' guy. So he's not the natural incumbent. We've seen it before. We saw it in Arizona where Josh Rosen had his 1 year, but they knew they were going right back into the draft to go get Kyler Murray or somebody of that stature. So, this last month or so, you you've seen it. And then you have the Chase Claypool trade for a second-round pick, which I think is a steep price to pay for a guy like that because, mind you, the Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to do the same thing with Kenny Pickett. So why would they get rid of somebody who they think could help him be evaluated, right? So these are the things that I question. And, the Roquan Smith standoff, I think it got – or it seemed personal, like it seemed like he was making a point instead of, doing what I think.
My team, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. It's his first standoff. So I think all these questions are warranted, especially in this market where it's like you have to prove that you are capable of putting a good team out there, and those questions will persist, because the excitement we have for Justin Fields is tempered by what's also happening on the defensive end. So Ryan Poles still got a lot of questions to answer.
Absolutely. And thank you all so very much from Steeler Nation for taking Chase Claypool. So very much. And yes, we will be using our second pick all day, every day. But listen, another thing we were thinking about, and this is kind of a situation that at least short term, Jason, the Falcons kind of found themselves in just in terms of kind of that injury bug hitting on offense, defense, and particularly hit with the run game. We lost Cordero Patterson for a couple of weeks. Thank goodness he's now back. But you guys, the Bears have also had a big blow in losing Khalil Herbert. So I'm thinking to myself, especially when you think about, like you said, Dean Pease scheming against the run, whether that's Justin Fields or whether that's actually a running back. Do you see David Montgomery as being able to at least pick up the pace and kind of keep Dean Pease defense honest?
It's a good question because Khalil Herbert has performed better if you look at the numbers this year as a runner. But David Montgomery has a special place in that building because of how physical he is. He's still a better short yardage runner than Khalil, and he's way better at blitz pickup, which is a quarterback, especially a young quarterback's best friend. And he's going to have a lot more reps. He's going to get his chance to shine against, a defense that, the Falcons defense there's still some things left to be desired. So, David Montgomery is still, I think, better in the screen game than Khalil Herbert is. And don't get me wrong, missing out on Khalil Herbert, who's like 7th or 8th in the league in rushing right now, it's going to be a blow. I don't know that Tristan Ebner can do the things that Khalil Herbert's going to be has been able to do. So it's a lot more is going to be on David Montgomery. A lot more is going to be on Justin Fields. And I think this is good. I think this is going to be the passing game, right? I think this is everybody's seen what Justin Fields has been able to do running the football over the last 4 games. I'd be surprised if I saw the Falcons running around in a whole bunch of man and sending a whole bunch of blitzes. I expect whatever run game that you can muster up if you're the Bears to have to rue today, but this is going to be the game where we find out if Justin Fields is ready to win it from the perceived pocket that everybody wants him to win it from.
And you asked my second question. It was about Montgomery being possibly another target for Justin as far as a catcher out of the backfield. So he's going to have to. Everybody, all hands on deck with this offense because they've scored 30 points a game, 3 straight games, but they're the first team in NFL history to lose all 3 of those games as well. So they already know the pressure has been mounting because people will still want to see these numbers and this output. But now with Khalil Herbert down, now with Tevin Jenkins getting ready to miss his 2nd straight game, there's a lot of little holes on this team and a lot of things are on Justin Fields' shoulders. So I would expect there to be some kind of regression this week, honestly, because of everything that's going into this game. But, Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney, you get a chance to find out more about them as well.
No doubt about it. I think that this game is probably going to be the quickest game in NFL history.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like,
little Greg Maddox pitching game.
Right. People going to be walking out of this doggone stadium at 3:45 and Mercedes being on Sunday. No doubt about it.
I wish I could be down there. In my time down there, I didn't get a chance to go to one tailgate, one Falcons game tailgate at all. Yeah, my man Daryl Killian, he threatened to take me out a couple of times, and then I went out with D, and he saw me. He was like, "Listen, I'm gonna keep my city folk in the cut." I was enjoying myself too much, right? But I wish I was coming down there for this one though, man. I truly wish I had a chance to. I got the Bulls games to do this weekend, but man, I wish I could.
The doggone marijuana smell and the Hennessy gonna be rolling. bro.
Hey,
I'm telling
listen,
you.
enjoy safely. You know,
Because this is Chicago South at the end of the day. So
it really is, right? You see. I mean, that's why they average down, because they got all them Bears players, they got all them Bears decision makers. Like, you know, I thought they learned their lesson by allowing me to come down there and languish for 2 years, but then I guess it wasn't enough.
And then look, Jermaine and Fetty, I got a chance to holler at him before he came out. I was like, yeah, man, what you gonna do this year, man? You gonna try to start? Yeah. I was like, dang, dog, like you can't take Caleb McGarry's spot, dog.
Nah, that's man. Hey, Jermaine Ifedi has he's got a special place in Bears lore, and it's not for the greatest of reasons. So
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm wishing the best for Jermaine.
I'm not surprised, sir.
Yeah, I'm wishing the best for Jermaine in all his future endeavors.
We know exactly what that means.
Yeah. He's a big man, so I don't want to see him in the street.
No doubt about it. But you mentioned about the safety and Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker.
Yeah.
Not getting acknowledging that you have issues up front. Our general manager seems to do the same thing too.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I understand the skill players. Drake London, great player. Kyle Pitts, good player. But damn, you still can't block to protect the quarterback, man. You can't sack the quarterback either. So I think there's so many similarities between these teams, and just kind of, when you dive into it. But can you talk about, like, as far as what Brisker has done and being a playmaker back there, and Gordon as well, as they come into their rookie years?
So Kyler Gordon had a slow start. Training camp, he was hurt. Got a chance to get into, I believe, the second to last preseason game. And the season so far has been up and down. He's made some plays, right? But that nickel cornerback position, like that's the toughest corner I think there is to play these days, because of what they're doing in terms of putting guys like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Like, people see that Cooper Kupp success. They see that slot. And I remember the first time I saw a premier wide receiver at the end of his career get thrown there was Larry Fitzgerald. And then you saw a lot of big receivers get put in that position. So in this defense, the 4-3 that they run, that we were, used to seeing with the Lovie Smith era, and two deep safeties and that three technique. So that nickel back, that three technique, and that weak side linebacker, the most important positions on the field for this defense. And if you look at the success that they had in Indianapolis with it, it was because, you got Kenny Moore at that cornerback position. You had Shaq Leonard at that weak side linebacker position. So they tried to fill it early on with Kyler Gordon, and there's been some, he's had some good plays. He's had some tough ones. He's not scared to be physical, which is always a good thing. But he's had his rookie lumps. And Jaquan Brisker is the same, right? Like, Jaquan has come up in run protection and run filling as well as you can expect a rookie too. But he has also lost the edge. He's also lost contain and allowed for a couple of big plays. I think he's been better in pass defense than I expected him to be coming out of Penn State. But this is the dude who, he's got that Bob Sanders kind of it to him. If he can stay healthy and affect the game the way that I think he'll be able to, after he gets that, like, mental Rolodex down of seeing things for the first time. Like, I think he's put Eddie Jackson also in a position to make more plays. You've seen him make more plays on the ball than he had in the previous 30 some odd games. He burst onto the scene, fresh out of Alabama for the Bears, and was making every play imaginable. And people were talking about consecutive Pro Bowls in his future. And then there was a good 30 games where he wasn't that playmaker. I think Jaquan Brisker has not just put that professional friendly competition in the room, but also allowed him to free up and do some things, because he's not an in the box physical safety. So the addition of these two dudes in the secondary has been fun to watch, because it's freed up some things, but it's also made you understand how hard it is to play in the secondary as a young player. Like, and not everybody's Sauce Gardner, not everybody's AJ Terrell, where you just jump in and you go, okay, that dude's going to be there for a decade and you have to worry about it. Like, these guys have had their ups and downs, and especially on a defense that's not getting pressure with the front four. Then Alan Williams not going to do a lot of blitzing, so you covering back there for a long time. So they're getting baptism by fire, and I think it's going to continue on Sunday.
Yeah. So Jarvis, I'm going to defer to you if you have another football question, because I can't have Jay on here without asking him something about ball. So
you already know, T. You already know, T.
Oh, come on now. You don't have to ask. You can go ahead and go jump right in on that one.
You already know,
listen,
T.
Jay, the last year I've had the pleasure of being the in-game analyst for the Hawks, so I watched them very,
I know,
very still.
and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I see you doing your thing.
Some work with them low key, and then I'll be covering the Skyhawks this season. So we're kind of watching everything that's going on in the Eastern Conference and kind of watching to see who's at the top, the cream of the crop. Listen, DeMar DeRozan gave us the blues last year, and I'm sure we're gonna get the business again this year. But tell us before you wrap up, in terms of where you see the Bulls in terms of the pecking order, because the Eastern Conference, man, it just seems to get deeper and more competitive by the year.
Yeah, no, it's tough. The East is definitely back in a major way. Even the teams that you think you can sleep on have these young players who don't care. Guys, you got that backcourt crew in Detroit with Cade Cunningham. I know he's got the shin right now, but him and Jaden Ivey they're gonna give people the blues for years. And the
Hawks know about Cade Cunningham.
Yeah. And I mean, you can look at the Pacers too. Like they got a guy in Indiana who I wanted the Bulls to draft when I thought they were going to get the 6th pick. They moved up, got the 4th pick in the lottery, and drafted Patrick Williams. But Tyrese Halliburton was my favorite prospect after that top 3, and you see him doing what he's doing in Indiana. So right now, if you're, teams like the Raptors and the Hawks and the Bulls, the Knicks, that second tier of Eastern Conference team, you can't be messing around. And the Bulls have messed around with some very important games over the last couple of days, with the Denver Nuggets coming in, and then everybody on the team saying that the effort wasn't what it's supposed to be after a 3-day rest. And then you come out against the Pelicans with no Zion Williamson and you give the same effort. Like it's mounting right now in terms of pressure. And DeMar DeRozan is getting looked at as the guy who, you got to move the rock. It's cool to do what you did last year, but the league has kind of counterbalanced that and defending the Bulls different. And Zach is coming off of, that knee surgery, and Lonzo's still out. So this team's got a bunch of different storylines right now that they're trying to battle. But in the end, injuries can't change the way you play and the way you show up. I understand if you're not as talented. I don't understand if you don't have as much effort. And especially if you say it, like you can only press that button a couple of times in a year before everybody started looking around and jobs started getting lost. So they're in a wild spot right now to have to dig themselves out of it and wait for Lonzo Ball to come as the savior, I guess, when he comes off of his injury. But yeah, man, the East ain't waiting on you. So whatever you did last year, it really doesn't matter. I mean, the Hawks fans know it too. Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
All that offseason is celebrating DeJounte Murray. You got to win games. Games.
That's why
they talking about John Collins.
Collins and trade talks.
Which is good because to your point, there's no resting on your laurels when you're in that second tier, because you're fighting that uphill battle, if for no other reason, to get yourself in that top 4 so that you can at least host the opening round series to maybe get yourself into the second round. But listen, because we know we could talk ball all day, every day, we're bringing you back a little bit later.
Let me know.
So
you already know. I'm down for whatever.
Man, just not enough time in the day. But listen, guys, as we tell you all the time, check out ATL Day Ones. That should be your first stop, no question. But we want you to check out a couple other things too. Don't forget to check out the Full Go podcast, because it's going to give you some information, some knowledge, make you scratch your head sometimes, make you laugh and fall out of your chair, but it's a good time. So check it out.
I'm telling my mama not to listen.
Not suitable for good people. That's all.
Right, exactly.
So after you check out ATL Day Ones, you check out Full Go. The next stop, and it is Locked On Sports Today, because it's the biggest stories. We got one brewing right now. Will JC suit up tomorrow in Atlanta? Will he not? That might be something that they're going to talk about. Hey, listen, they also give instant reaction to any and everything that's going on. And, we do For the Culture here. Their version of it is Take of the Day. So again, don't forget to check out Locked On Sports Today.